Hey, so welcome to my first work in progress video. I'm Rob, and you'll have to ignore the Sean Connor beard at the moment, for we have work to do. Anyways, here's what I've got going on right now. I've got a master grade sand rock that we need to work on, and in the mail, shipping from the land of the rising sun, I've got 2 real grades on the way. I'm not going to disclose which ones they are. I may have said so in a post somewhere, so if you see that, well, joke's on me. You know what they are, so you'll know when we get to them. So, on the GundamForums.com, someone made a post about their airbrush setup, saying, "Help! It doesn't work!" So, from what I gathered, and I made a post about this, if you look at the Airbrush Central thread, you'll see that there is a... So, look at that thread, at the very first couple of slides. And today, we're going to talk about my airbrush setup, and I apologize for the mess of a workshop, but it's something you're going to see all the time once you get used to it. We're going to talk about my airbrush setup, more importantly, the compressor setup, and we'll see what you need to do in order to avoid getting what you're getting. So you said there was a little bit of splatter, and that could be caused by about 5, 6, half dozen different types of issues. But if what I suspect is true, and you said the airflow was forceful, you could be blowing that paint out at 30 or 40 psi. That's not what you want. You want to be under 20 pretty much at all times. Excuse me. I usually paint at about 12 to 14 to 15 psi, and I find that I never need any more than that. So let's turn the camera around and look at my setup. Alright. As I turn the screen, this is what I have. This is a model maker, and I don't particularly know what the model is right now, but this is a basic diaphragm compressor. This is not a tank compressor. Oh, it says it right there. CP101 1/8 horsepower. That's typical 1/8 horsepower. So this is where the piston is. This is the air intake. It sucks the air in, the piston compresses it, and it goes up into this handle. Then it's going to, pardon me, I do have allergies. This is going to go into here. This is what's called your moisture regulator. Excuse me, not your moisture regulator, your air regulator. This will tell you what you need your PSI at. And it's kind of hard to see at this angle, I apologize, but I'm usually down in this range when I'm painting. In fact, I'll turn it on right now. That's where I was painting at the last paint job. And right under here, and make sure my airbrush is off here so I don't tilt it and it gets damaged. I use that as a holder. This is your moisture trap, and the arrow is there to help me twist it the correct way. It's made out of plastic, but what this does is gets moisture out of your airline. Is if you have moisture in your airline, it's going to cause a lot of problems when you go to paint. So that's what that is. My piss poor job at Teflon taping. You're going to need to tape this up with Teflon tape. It's also called plumber's tape. And this is just this is the only line they had. I would have preferred a smaller line to go into my airbrush. It's a 6-foot line, so that's really nice. And that goes up into here. And this is my Badger 200 NH airbrush. I like Badger because they have a lifetime warranty, no questions asked on their products. You send it in, they'll fix it, no questions asked. So that connects into there, and it'll do your work. So let me turn it on real quick, I shall show you. And there's no needle in here, so it's just going to spray air, but see how loud that sounds? It's about what you want. Now, if I have a jam in the nozzle, if I'm not going to flush it out myself, this is a good way to do it, is when you get dried paint up in the nozzle, which I'll show you what a nozzle is in a second, if you don't know what it is, you can actually force it out. So watch what I'm going to do to the air pressure. I'm going to regulate it up to 20 psi. I believe this brush has a limit at 25, and it's built in. I'm not sure how they do it, but I'm sure I'm an engineer, so if I looked at something at how to regulate an airbrush, you'd probably be able to see something in the schematic. Anyways, let's see what I'm going to do here. Now notice how much louder it sounds. That's a 20 PSI. I'm thinking you're probably pushing it at a 30 to 40, and that's just going to cause a huge mess. So you definitely don't want to do that. So where can you get a moisture trap and a regulator? Usually they come together. This model actually came with one when I purchased the set at Hobbytown, USA. You can go to tcpglobal.com. They're pretty much the gods of airbrush. My last order took a little while to get here. I wasn't too happy about it, but it did get here. And actually, I'll show you what that is. One of these days, we'll go over this. This is called, I always call it Red Gab, but it's Reg Dab. It's Badger backwards. This is needle juice and lubricant for your needle. And that stopped my paint clogging pretty darn quick. So what you want to do is go to TCP Global. I'm not actually sure how much these regulators and moisture traps will cost you. Probably not as much as the unit itself. Get some, what's it called, Teflon tape. You're going to do that, wrap the piping, and when you twist this on, I have it on snugly. Don't tighten it too much or you might bust something and then you're going to have to buy a completely new unit. I don't know if too many companies other than Iwata, Posh, and Badger. I don't even think Badger makes their own compressors, but I know Iwata and Posh do. They may have warranties, but you don't want to risk it. Just don't break your stuff. So with that said, get back to us at the Airbrush Central thread on GundamForums.com, and you'll get to see me work.